Hello and welcome to Steven University. This week we're discussing Joking Victim, an episode in which Lars basically pretends to get a back injury when Steven is Stevening about the place. When Sadie goes to sort of comfort him and you know do something nice for him, she discovers that he doesn't really have a back injury. He was just getting out of work and hanging out with the cool kids, which upsets her. So she tries to prank him, and it goes horribly wrong, like monstrously wrong. She pranks him with this, whatever they call it, fire juice, fire liquid, fire something. It's not good.
Yeah, like burn sprinkles or fire sprinkles or something like that.
Fire salt. Fire salt.
Fire salt, that's it.
And they put too much on, and he runs around with flames literally bursting from his mouth. It's a really interesting episode, this, because when you describe that plot, it just sounds like ridiculous, silly Steven Universe fun. But it's actually surprisingly emotional when it gets into the Sadie Lars of it all. So
I'd go as far to say one of the most emotional episodes the series has had. So far.
Which is interesting because, again, if you're just describing the plot, the A to B of how it goes, you know, Lars pretends to get out of work and then Sadie pranks him. It just does not sound like it's going to get that deep at all. But the show manages, again, I mean, unsurprising to those familiar with the show, I suppose, at this point, because it's so consistently managed to weave genuine emotional beats with just outright ridiculous plots. But I think, especially for yourself, Chris, having only watched 21 episodes now, which sounds like a lot, but when they're only 10 minutes long, is not that much. It's pretty incredible.
It's just over 3 hours of content if you think about it. Yeah,
I mean exactly. So how do you sort of how did you feel about the episode? Then what did you like it? Did you not like it? Where did you land?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was simple in its plot and structure, but I mean that as a wonderful compliment. I thought it had some really funny moments. The use of Stevening, and I cleared up the last Steven. The use of his name as a verb was hysterical and very good.
Yes.
And I genuinely it would be cool and impressive to make me feel for, you know, one of the 4 gems. Like, that's cool. I expect that. But to make me feel for a side character, to make me feel a genuine emotion, to make me feel genuine worry that they were going to kill off Lars or he was never going to be able to talk again at one point. Like, they really ham up how much pain he's in and stuff well.
Yes.
Yeah. And their moment where he's trying to apologize to her but he can't speak, it's just great TV. Like, I know we've had some big hitters recently, like last week with the Fusion and previous weeks as well, but I think this is, maybe I like stories with Lars in, I don't know, but because I really loved the last Lars one, but I think that helped as well, because the beauty of this is you feel, I'm watching this, and you should just feel for her, and it works on that level. But equally, we've had a story where we've been made to feel for Lars and his affection for the girl he fancies. So you're sort of oddly conflicted, and it feels very real and really, really engaging.
Do you as well? I think they add to it because seeing him naturally hanging out with the cool kids that he was so desperately trying to form that relationship with, even that, you sort of go, oh, good, that's a thing. Like, you want that for him in a weird way.
Yeah, you do, but I think to slightly, because, I love to nitpick, and maybe that's annoying, but I think you do when he's and I got it by pretending to be ill and pretending to have a bad back, ha ha ha, and they all laugh. You kind of feel if he'd said that in the earlier episode, Lars and the Cool Kids, they would have said, well, that's not right, Lars. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was that episode where he was being and I'm not going to wear a seatbelt. They're like, you don't put on a seatbelt, you don't go forward. And and then he made a joke about I can't remember what else. There was another thing he sort of said that was oh, that's lame, and they were like, safety first. So you're right. Yeah. I feel like they would have, because there was that whole thing about daddy kisses or daddy hugs or whatever it was. Do you remember that as well? When he was like, don't be sorry for me and my daddy kisses. Lack of daddy kisses is what made me the man I am today. or something like that. Yeah, I felt that was out of place. But at the same time, though, it would have distracted from the rest of the episode, I think, if they'd gone down that route. So
maybe you could argue we're seeing it from her point of view. So it really is fine. It's a really minor nitpick, but I think you hit upon a point though within that, which is the beauty of it is the subtlety. Like there's when he says, I like Lars, or we like Lars, and she pulls a face even before she admits it. Like, it's just so subtle and human and nice.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And you really do feel for Sadie in this episode, because her situation is, it's heartbreaking, because you know Lars takes advantage of her. And it takes so many different forms that it's kick after kick. Like, it is, and I didn't remember it being this brutal until I rewatched it for this podcast. But at first, it's just like, oh, you dick, Lars. Like, you're getting out of work, you're making her do all the work. But then you hear the story about him making her go and get the game, and then them playing it together, and to her it was this big thing. But it's just another manipulation tactic, because now he calls her player 2, and she always goes, oh, anything for you. Like, it's really, like, it's heartbreaking on 1,001 levels, like more levels than I can, correctly explain in a short form podcast. But it is genuinely, every time you think that he can't be any shittier to Sadie, he is, and yet at the same time somehow you still don't like despise his character. In any other show, that character is irredeemable. And I do know there is a sect of the Steven Universe fan base that don't like Lars, but I think that on the whole, I think they've done a great job making him an empathetic character, because you feel his plight and his desire to be liked, his desire to be liked by the wrong people, or not the wrong people, but like specific people. And not like engaging with the friendships he actually has already, and not appreciating what he has, and you sort of you even though you don't agree with what he's doing, you sort of get how he got there. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
you understand him. I think
you relate to Lars in a way that maybe where like sort of you're not on his side as such, but you totally get it. So I think it's a really powerful episode, because it can all those different sort of points come together to create what is, again, a silly as fuck episode, but so much underlying sort of emotion. Question I have for you though, Chris, is if you take away every episode we've seen prior to this, if you were to just sit down and you caught Joking Victim on television, you just flicking through the channels and you'd never seen the show, assuming that you're getting over the context and the weirdness of like, a special thing, like the purple lady that gives him a special thing that he makes, breathe fire. Forgetting that part of it, do you think any of that emotion tracks, or do you think no?
I think it does.
Does it rely on the context of the previous episodes, is what I'm getting at?
I would say it did if it was a different character, but we've not had much time with Sadie. Whilst we've met her, the bulk of that pain comes from her story and her little looks and the way we see him treat her. We've not... I don't think, whilst we vaguely know Sadie and we certainly know Lars, the core of it is what Sadie's feeling, and I don't think we've had backstory to that to make that necessary.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. I think so. So you're saying the crux of the episode really is Sadie's side of it, and it's and as a viewer of the show, the context of where Lars is makes it all more powerful, because you don't immediately hate him. For his actions, but You're saying that the sort of crux of it is Sadie's side, which is what you would get from this, regardless of context.
Yeah, I don't know if it would make you desperately watch the next one, because
no,
the next one wouldn't deal with Sadie, but I think you would get that.
You might, 100%. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. It is interesting. Little bit of trivia. Not trivia. Well, maybe a little bit of trivia, Chris. I know you like a bit of trivia. The reason that the popular reason attributed to why Lars wears a different shirt this episode, because last time he hung out with the cool kids, he wore the snake shirt. But if you remember, the snake shirt caused some controversy about whether people love or don't like snakes. So he's decided to wear a different shirt this time. He's wearing a scorpion shirt to hang out with the cool kids. I thought that was a nice little detail that he refused to wear his snake shirt again.
Is that trivia or is that frivia? Is that fans trying to put things that aren't there and put explanations that aren't there?
So, it was basically in the storyboards for the episode. I'll read you the trivia. So when people saw the storyboards, it became clear. So I'll read you what it's written here on the trivia page on Steven-universe.wikia.com, which is, it is also revealed through storyboards that Lars wore a scorpion shirt instead of his snake shirt because he is self-conscious about wearing it around Buck after Buck previously insulted his snake shirt, which I don't think is right. I don't think Buck insulted it. I think he thought Buck was insulting it, and then there was a miscommunication. But yeah, I thought
either way, it does demonstrate the depth of the show.
Yeah, I would say so. If accurate. So, and also they're saying that the PD Fryman and Mr. Fryman, who very briefly cameo in the episode and Steven hands them donuts, were supposed to have speaking lines in this episode, but the scene was cut due to time.
I wonder how often that happens in a 15-minute show.
Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? Because you've got to imagine it's quite tight to start with, because you've only got 10 minutes. It's got to be real tight before you even start.
Can you imagine this show being made now for like Netflix? Where some can be 11 minutes, some can be 15. You know, it can literally be whatever it wants to be.
Wants and needs to be. Yeah, it'd be a powerful combination, that's for sure. And it certainly wouldn't be under constant threat of cancellation like it seems to be at Cartoon Network. Or schedule shifting. Anyway.
I was going to say, was that not slightly to blame to the schedule shifting?
Yeah. Bloody Cartoon Network. Don't know what they're doing with this show, do they? Season 4 ended like 2 weeks ago. They just started season 5 today. Why? It's weird. Anyway,
keep it in the bank.
I know. I'll get angry about it when we get to it, because like we're at the point in the show when when it seems to have had a regular schedule. Looking at the dates, we'll get to what are called the Steve. That's going to be an interesting portion actually, because at a certain point the show switches, not formats as such, but there are these little things called Steven Bombs. And the Steven Bombs are like 5-episode runs across a week. And the Steven Bombs tend to have one storyline running through them. Now, the episodes are still individual episodes with their own thing, but there's usually one hook taking you through all 5 episodes.
Through all 5, wow.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example, just to give you some context. There's a sequence where 2 of the gems have a pretty serious falling out, a disagreement. And while the adventures are happening, that arc goes over 5 episodes. That little story about those 2 sort of falling out and coming back together. So it's like there's always the Steven Bombs tend to have a story. Sometimes they directly lead into each other. Directly, like the episode finishes and the next one picks up exactly where that last one left off. So that's a thing that starts happening more and more as the show goes deeper in. But we'll get to those episodes when we get to them, I suppose.
Yeah.
What do you think of the sort of some of the more comedy aspects, like Steven learning how to work at the donut shop, watching Mr. Smiley's horrible cheesy rap video?
Yeah, I thought, and the line, "What's a VHS? It's like a DVD but thicker." I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah.
I loved it, especially having and I won't name the organisation, but I've watched videos like that in an organisation where I worked. Mm-hmm. I literally watched videos that, hey, this is how you do this, and this is this scenario, and corporate trading videos. So yeah, I think they nailed that brilliantly. And again, a very I appreciate that because as a young adult, I worked in retail and had to watch that. That's not aimed for the kids. I think this show, in a way, I was listening to an interview with Stephen Moffat, current, depending on when you're listening to this, lead writer of Doctor Who, and he was saying that the beauty in children's writing and when children's writing is done right is you don't talk down to the kids, and you got to try and convince the kids. A successful children's show or book series or whatever convinces the kids that they're actually watching an adult show. And it also convinces the adults that they're watching a kids show that is all right to like. And that kind of thing does that beautifully, because no kid is going to understand that joke.
No, you're absolutely right.
They're going to understand the joke. They're going to see the joke, but it's not going to resonate in exactly the same way it would with an adult. And that kind of stuff is just fascinating to see the show do more and more of that.
That is cool. You're right, and I will say when I started, I'm not going to name it, but I worked at a large supermarket chain in the UK when I was younger, and they showed me a video starring the chick who played Emily in Friends. But they made it like a bit of a spy thing. Like
Helen Baxendale.
What's that, sorry?
Helen Baxendale was.
That's
was
her.
in.
Yeah.
That's
I'm guessing
nuts.
it was before she was more successful.
Right. Okay.
I'm guessing she made it a million years ago, and it was still cropping up in the early thousands. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know, because they're like, when they pay to get these things made, they never update them.
Yeah.
Another little bit of it's not trivia, more of a continuity thing. Did you notice the poster in the background of the staff room at the donut shop?
Yeah, no, I didn't know.
You're going to pretend you did for a second. It's what looks to be a hand-drawn poster promoting a wrestling event with Purple Puma and Tiger Millionaire.
I still think that episode was fucking weird.
Yeah, it was. It was very weird.
Because you said it, and I was like, "What? Oh yeah, oh god!" And it felt like
a different
bad
show.
Dream. Just felt like, oh yeah, I think I dreamt that episode.
Yeah, it was a fever dream. You were really sick, and you woke up one morning and you were like, "Dan, I don't think I watched the right episode because they were wrestling for some reason this week."
Yeah,
but you complimented that episode at the time, though, because you talked about how, like, I think one of the compliments you had for that episode was it was even you as a relative noob to the show appreciated seeing the gems fight each other as a big deal. Because that episode
that
ends
sounds like
with
the talk of drunk Chris. No, yeah, I do remember saying that.
So there you go.
Yeah. Good times.
Once again, the awkwardness has just found us naturally, Chris.
I would love to know. Write in. Are we forcing it, or is it awkward, or is it just simply?
I think because we
the
never
end of conversation.
No, yeah, I think because we never settled on a proper way to end this show, like with our other podcasts. I think awkwardness has found us, like, naturally.
But this is what we then settled on. We then went, right, well, that's it. That's how we're going to end the show. And part of me does think, how can we keep this up for 3 years?
Yeah, we can't, can we?
So what if instead we came up with something? What about if we just do what we do on the other show, which is, so that's everything?
Yeah. You know what, should we try and end it like a normal podcast?
And it's more confident because it depends. If you do it, it's so that's everything. My name's Dan, da-da-da-da-da. But if I do it, I go, so that's everything. And then I'm just silent and wait for you to be like, my name's Dan, you can find us on
Yeah, well, as usual, find us on Facebook, facebook.com/nothingbutstatic. Twitter is @nothingbutstatic without the G. Mail @nothingbutstatic.co.uk. Nothingbutstatic.co.uk is indeed the website. youtube.com or .co.uk/nothingbutstaticuk. I'm @Dan Doolan. He's @C Billingham. 2 M's because he's cool. So that is everything for this week. I've been Dan Doolan.
I've been Chris Billingham.
And we'll see you next week when we discuss Stephen and the Stevens. Oh, you're right, Chris. Nice. That is better.
That felt better.
Yeah, it does feel better. Is that it then? Have we killed the awkward ending? Is the awkward ending gone away?
I think there's no, I think Fringe Observers sometimes misses the add-on, so we won't do music and then an add-on, but we will do. We'll see you next week on da-da-da, and then we'll say a little something. And sometimes it'll probably be awkward, so that fills both camps.
Like what we're doing now, then, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Are we currently after the credit music? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm saying put it before the credits.
Oh, before the credits?
I don't think that would work.
No, that wouldn't
work.
Yeah.
No.
So are we after the credit music now? That's my question.
But people are used to there being nothing after the credits. I think it's weird if we suddenly start putting stuff after the credits.
Well, if we do it once, it's not the end of the world, is it?
Let's do it once, see if anyone notices, and see if anyone wants it back.
Yeah, if you like a little after-credit add-on, for Stephen University, let us know. Otherwise, we'll
Yeah.
see you next week for Stephen and the Stevens. Now go away.
Hey.
Shit, it's awkward again.